So, welcome back to class. Last class period, we read The Dot by Peter H. Reynolds. And in The Dot, we learned about encouragement, courage, and making our own art. Because the main character, Vashiti, she made her own mark and it gave her a way to express. And she actually encouraged another little boy to make his own artwork as well. So in our dot project, we played with abstract art. We looked to Mr. Miro to paint a background for our dot that we're going to stitch today. So we are doing the dot day stitchery. And in order to do that, we needed to prepare our work. Your teacher actually punched the holes in the shape of a circle. So today we will be filling in the circle with stitches and sewing the edge, which is the circumference, and we'll also be sewing diameter, which is the line that goes through the circle. First, we're going to look at a video of an artist. His name is Gabriel Dawes, and he is from Mexico. And his work is installation work, which we'll talk about in a few minutes.
I'm Gabriel Daw, and I'm an installation artist based in Dallas, and I'm here at the Renwick installing my piece Plexus A1. I'm working with sewing thread, and this series of installations are all made out of sewing thread, and they're basically these architectural structures made with the core material of clothing. I started working with textiles as a way of challenging notions of gender identity. I grew up in Mexico City, and there's a lot of notions of macho culture with that forbid me to play with textiles when I was a kid. As a grown man, I decided to challenge those notions of identity. This work is always site specific. In this particular case, I have quite an interesting challenge with the 4 columns. I use an extension pole with a tool I developed that works as a giant needle, and it's just stretching the thread one strand at a time. So there's thousands of connections between hooks on the floor and hooks on the ceiling, and it's somewhere around 55, 60 miles of thread. It really makes people react in very authentic ways. These structures are so ethereal that they look like frozen rays of light. Point of departure is always the full spectrum. It's always making that reference to light.
So, can anyone tell me what an installation might mean?
Does it
Yes.
does it mean something that you have in like a big open room and you have to build in there?
Building is part of it. Jackson?
I can install games on my computer. Is that installation?
Oh, it's a little different. But installation art is somewhere where the artist takes the space and puts their own work in it to change the way the space is kind of taken in, like the way you look at it or the way you experience it, like walking through. As you noticed, his thread that they said was 50 or 60 miles long, and he uses a special needle to thread. It had it was a rainbow of light, and he talked about a visual spectrum, which is also just this fancy word to say rainbow. And what order are the colors of the rainbow? Anyone? Raise your hands. Claire.
Roy G. Biv, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and violet.
Good job, Claire.
Roy G. Biv.
So today we are going to stitch the circumference. We're going to stitch the diameters, and we're going to do it in a funny, this is what I chose. I chose to make a bunch of dots with the outside red, the inside yellow, and then blue. And then I stitched my dot circumference first, and then I just decided to fill in the dot with a bunch of different diameters. So I'm going to now demonstrate how we're going to do that. So in order to do that, you're going to get a length of yarn that is going to be roughly about 2 arm lengths, like so. And when we use our scissors, we're going to make sure that we use them only on the yarn and nothing else. We don't want to cut our backgrounds, and we don't want to cut ourselves or hurt our friends. And when we use our needle, that also is just for sewing on our cardboard, through the holes, up and down. When I thread the needle, which is going to be a challenge, I am not going to lie, everybody's going to have struggles, and we're all going to have to use our hands, because there are 1 of me and 2 hands, or if I have my other helper with me, we have 4 hands, and there's not. So what I would like you to be able to do is to try, and if you cannot get it, you need to raise your hand and wait patiently. And if you don't wait patiently, it's not going to work so well, because we are all going to be able to stitch. We're all going to get a chance to do that. So once I have my needle threaded and I'm ready to sew onto my cardboard background, I'm going to tape my yarn to the back. And this is where I want you to pay close attention. We're going to go up through the back. That's where we taped. We're going to pull that through, and we're going to go down on the top. I don't want you to go around the edge like this. I want us to try our best to keep the stitching in the center. So what we're going to try and do is complete a dotted line with our thread up through the back, down through the top. And there will be tangles. I am not going to lie. You will have tangles, and they are going to be struggles that we're going to have to get through. So again, if you try to get through those tangles, and if you cannot get it, and it is too frustrating, please raise your hand. We will be there to help. So once we've gotten a good amount of the circumference stitched and that dotted line, I'm going to do one more dotted line. Remember, I'm going just up to the back and down to the bottom. Okay. As you can see, it's a dotted line. Then we're going to go back the same way we came, and we're going to make that a solid line to make the shape of the circle. And circumference is just another fancy word for the edge of a circle shape. I'm going to fill in that line. Coming back the same way I went. Okay, and then as you get that line filled in for your circle, you're going to just start going across and filling in the shape, the center of the circle with diagonals, which we call the diameter. So we're just going to fill in our circle. Does anybody have any questions? Claire?
Can we use more than one color?
You can certainly use more than one color. We changed the color by starting the same way we did at the beginning and taping it to the back and beginning a new color. But I would like you to use the length of yarn that you started out with completely first. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you.